What if everything you believe about money is wrong? It's not just the value of a dollar, not just where wealth comes from, but the entire foundation of the financial world you live in. Because hidden behind bank vaults, government policies, and the comforting glow of economic stability lies a truth that nations fear, elites deny, and ordinary people never prepare for. Money is not permanent, and it dies more often than you think. Empires collapse, currencies vanish, banks evaporate, and the symbols we trust, paper, numbers, digital entries, turn to dust. Yet people survive, societies rebuild. Something else takes the place of failed money. So the question isn't, can money fail? It's what survives when it does. And to answer that, we must uncover a pattern stretching across 3,000 years. From ancient kingdoms to modern superpowers, from gold to paper to pixels, from hyperinflation to digital bank runs. Because every time money breaks, something else rises in its place. Sometimes it's trade, sometimes it's trust, sometimes it's violence, and sometimes it's something far more powerful. This is the hidden history of collapsing currencies and the enduring forces that survive them. Imagine waking up tomorrow and discovering your bank has frozen withdrawals. Your debit card stops working. Your salary is worthless. Shops no longer accept currency. Your savings or safety vanish in a single line of code or a single announcement on the morning news. Impossible? It has happened dozens of times, across continents, cultures, and centuries. But to understand why money fails, we need to understand what money actually is, not the bills in your pocket or the digits in your account, but the system behind them. Here's the twist. Money isn't created to hold value. It's created to transfer trust between people, between institutions, and between the present and the future. And every monetary system, gold-based, paper-based, or digital, rests on one fragile assumption: that the people who create money will act responsibly. History shows they rarely do. From kings who clipped coins to governments that printed paper endlessly, from central banks that overstimulated to empires that spent beyond their means, the story of money is the story of temptation. Every currency collapse begins long before the panic, with leaders who discover that controlling money gives them something irresistible: power without accountability. And here's where the real mystery begins. Every time money dies, three things survive: trust, resources, and adaptability. But they appear in different forms depending on the era. To see the full pattern, we must start at the origins. Thousands of years before digital banking, ancient rulers created some of the world's first currencies. But here's the twist the history books rarely mention. Early money failed just as often as modern money. Mesopotamia, the first IOU system in ancient Mesopotamia. Temples acted as banks. People stored grain there. The temple issued clay tablets representing the grain. But then came droughts, debt, wars, and eventually, the clay tablets were worth nothing. Trust evaporated. The system collapsed. What survived? Barter, food, skills, the basics of survival. Ancient Greece debasement and collapsed Greek city-states minted silver coins. But when war became expensive, rulers discovered they could mint more coins by reducing the silver content. Coins that once held real value became symbolic. Inflation surged. Trust broke. Economies fragmented. What survived? Local trade networks, community relationships, knowledge. Rome. The first global currency failure. Rome stretched an empire across continents, but its currency stretched too. The denarius, once 95% silver, fell to less than 1% over 2 centuries. Soldiers demanded pay in goods instead of money. Provinces rebelled. Markets broke down. Rome didn't fall because of barbarians alone. It fell because its currency died. What survived? Land, food, skilled labor, and local governance, the essentials. Already we see a pattern forming across early civilizations. Every failed currency leaves behind the same survivors: real resources, real skills, and real trust networks. But this pattern didn't stop with ancient empires. It grew stronger as nations grew bigger, and mistakes grew costlier. With the rise of global trade came more sophisticated financial tools: gold standards, banknotes, early bonds, centralized treasuries. Each innovation brought efficiency, but also vulnerability. The gold standard era. Stability with a hidden flaw. By the 1800s, many nations tied their currencies to gold. Gold meant trust. Gold meant discipline. Gold meant limits. But governments hated limits, so they created paper promises, notes redeemable for gold, till they weren't. World War I, when the world discovered unlimited printing faced with war expenses, countries printed money far faster than they could back it with gold. Prices doubled, exploded. Inflation wasn't a bug, it was a strategy. Nations quietly abandoned the gold standard, but the public didn't know until it was already too late. Trust was broken. Economic chaos spread. Weimar Germany, a case study in collapsed post-war Germany, printed so much money that a loaf of bread went from 1 mark to 200 billion marks. People brought wheelbarrows of notes to buy lunch. Savings vanished. Middle-class families became beggars overnight. What survived? Farmers who grew food, tradesmen with essential skills, people with access to foreign currency, hard assets, land, metals, tools, communities that traded locally. In other words, the same pattern as ancient times. The Great Depression. Trust shattered again. Banks failed. Depositors lost everything. Money supply collapsed. Deflation and unemployment soared. What survived? Social networks, local trade, real goods, personal resilience. Every crisis echoes the last. But nothing prepared the world for what came next. A global monetary system built on promises instead of real value. 1971, the day money stopped being real. On August 15, 1971, President Richard Nixon announced something that changed money forever. The US dollar would no longer be backed by gold. For the first time in human history, every major currency became backed not by metal, but by trust. Governments could print endlessly. Debt could grow infinitely. Banks could lend without restraint. This system created prosperity, but also fragility. The consequence no one predicted: when money becomes unlimited, 3 things follow. Debt explodes, inequality widens, currencies weaken silently. This wasn't an accident. It was a feature of the new system. Governments discovered they could borrow today, push the consequences into the future. But every system with unlimited expansion eventually reaches a breaking point. Modern hyperinflation's proof the system is fragile. Zimbabwe, Venezuela, Argentina, Turkey, Lebanon, each followed a similar path. Rising, debt falling, production, political instability, money printing. Inflation spiraling. Savings destroyed what survived. The same things that always do. Food skills, hard currency, social trust, trade networks, adaptability. But now, the collapses were coming faster, and more nations were showing early warning signs. Here's the part almost no one understands. When money collapses, people imagine chaos, riots, starvation, violence. Yes, that happens sometimes, but more often something else emerges: a parallel economy. When official currency becomes worthless, People create alternatives. Barter foreign currency, crypto precious metals, food-based exchange labor for goods, systems community vouchers, local credit networks. This isn't theory, it's documented in every collapse. Case study. Argentina's underground exchange system during hyperinflation. Argentinians developed a massive informal economy. People traded everything from haircuts to vegetables to car parts. Neighborhood barter clubs replaced banks. Case study. Venezuela's dollarization when the believer became worthless. US dollars replaced it. Not by law, but by necessity. Case study. Lebanon, after 2019 banks froze accounts. People lost life savings overnight. Yet society continued through. Cash-only trade gold US dollars, cryptocurrency community networks, money died. But the economy survived through improvisation. Because here's the truth. When money fails, the economy doesn't disappear. Only the illusion disappears. Resources still exist. People still need goods and services. Communities still depend on each other. So what survives? Value that cannot be debased. Skills that cannot be printed. Trust that cannot be faked. When currencies collapse, governments always promise the same thing. Don't worry, we have a plan. This time will be different. But history shows something uncomfortable. The fixes usually accelerate the collapse. Let's see how. Failed fix number 1, printing more money to stabilize prices. This is the most common mistake. A currency loses value. Prices rise. People panic. So the government prints even more to help citizens afford things. But printing more of something that's already losing value is like trying to save a drowning man by giving him more water. Modern example, Zimbabwe 2008 inflation hit 79,600,000,000%. They printed trillion-dollar banknotes. People used them as wallpaper. Modern example. Venezuela 2016 to 2021, 5 currency redenominations. Each one removes zeros. None solved the problem. Printing doesn't restore trust. It destroys it. Failed fix number 2, redenomination removing zeros. Governments love this solution. Instead of 100 billion. They print new notes labeled 1. But redenomination is cosmetic surgery on a dying patient. People see through it instantly. Prices return to their inflated state, wages lag behind. Trust drops even further. Zimbabwe removed 29 zeros in total. Turkey removed 6 zeros. Brazil removed 18 zeros over multiple cycles. None solved the root problem. Failed fix number 3, currency pegs and artificial exchange rates. Many collapsing nations try to peg their currency to the US dollar. It sounds logical, but it only works if your economy can actually support the peg. Argentina failed. Venezuela failed. Lebanon failed. Egypt failed. Artificial rates create black markets, corruption, and scarcity. People trust the street rate, not the government rate. Failed fix number 4, capital controls. When a nation fears collapse, the government restricts. Withdrawals, dollar purchases, foreign bank transfers, cash movement across borders. They call it stability. But people experience it as theft of their own money. Once trust in banks is gone, the currency is already dead. Failed fix number 5, central bank emergency measures, interest rate hikes, quantitative easing, bank bailouts, liquidity injections. Sometimes they buy time, but they never reverse collapse if the underlying system is unstable. Why? Because you cannot fix a trust problem with technical tools. Money collapses psychologically first, economically second. This is where history starts feeling uncomfortably close. We are living in an age where the same patterns, the same decisions, the same temptations, the same mistakes are reappearing globally. Let's look at the most alarming parallels in today's world. Parallel number 1, global debt at record highs in ancient Rome. too much spending collapsed the empire. In Weimar Germany, too much debt triggered hyperinflation. Today, global debt exceeds $315 trillion. It's 330% of global GDP. Never in human history has the world been this indebted. Debt is the shadow side of money. When debt grows faster than production, money becomes unstable. Parallel number 2, the return of double-digit inflation from 1980 to 2020. Inflation seemed under control, but now, Turkey, 70 to 100%. Argentina, 211%. Pakistan, 25 to 35%. Egypt, 32%. Lebanon, 200% plus. Nigeria, 30%. UK, USA, EU. Highest inflation in 40 years. Inflation isn't returning. It never disappeared, it was merely hidden. Parallel number 3, rising government interventions. When governments print more and regulate more, currencies weaken. Today we're seeing bank freezes, withdrawal limits, digital tracking, money printing spikes, bailouts, debt monetization, currency devaluation. These are the same steps that preceded every historic collapse. Parallel number 4, quiet bank runs through digital banking. You no longer need to stand in line for a bank run. One app button transfers billions instantly. In 2023, Silicon Valley Bank collapsed after $42 billion was withdrawn in a single day. Not even the 1930s saw panic move this fast. The financial system has become faster, and therefore more fragile. Parallel number 5, the rise of alternative money. Every time official money weakens, alternatives rise. Bitcoin adoption rising in inflationary countries, gold purchases at record highs. Barter resurging in collapsed economies, foreign currency replacing local currency. Digital dollars, USDT, USDC used as cash in unstable nations. This is the same survival strategy seen for 3,000 years. When money fails, people create new money. Now we reach the heart of the story. Across every collapse, from Rome to Weimar to Zimbabwe to Lebanon to Argentina to Turkey to Venezuela, the same things survive. Not sometimes, not usually. Always. Let's break them down clearly. Survivor number 1, hard assets. These are resources with intrinsic value: land, food, water, access, livestock, metals, tools, vehicles, fuel, machinery. You can't print more land. You can't inflate food. You can't devalue a shovel or a solar panel. When currency dies, resources become money. Survivor number 2, essential skills. Currency collapses don't make labor worthless. They make it more valuable. In every historical collapse, the people who thrived were those with useful skills. Mechanics, farmers, electricians, plumbers, medical workers, carpenters, software technicians, repair experts, teachers, traders, drivers. When money loses value, skills replace currency as the medium of exchange. Your ability becomes your paycheck. Survivor number 3, trust networks. This is the most underrated survivor. When money collapses, strangers become unreliable, but trusted relationships become priceless. People survive through family, friends, local community, business alliances, neighborhood trade groups, reputation-based exchange. Banks stop lending, but communities start lending to each other. Trust becomes its own currency. Survivor number 4, parallel economies during collapses. Official systems malfunction, but underground systems come alive. Barter markets, black markets, crypto transactions, dollarized trade, gold trading, services for goods, exchange, community credit systems. Governments can kill money, but they cannot kill people's need to survive. Parallel economies fill the vacuum instantly. Survivor number 5, adaptability, the most important survivor of all. History shows the resilient share these traits. They diversify. They reduce dependence on banks. They adapt to new exchange forms. They store value in multiple ways. They build networks. They stay informed. Collapse is not the end. It's a transition. Those who adapt first suffer least. Because the world is entering the same pre-collapse pattern that preceded past breakdowns: high inflation, high debt, weak trust, political instability, bank fragility, rising inequality, currency wars, silent devaluation. But here's the twist. Today's system is even more fragile because it is fully digital. In the past, you physically held money. Today, money is data. Data can be frozen, deleted, restricted, manipulated, controlled. When money becomes digital, collapse becomes faster. A hyperinflation that once took years can now happen in months. A bank run that once took days can now take hours. A loss of trust can spread globally in minutes. We are living inside the most efficient monetary system ever created, and the most vulnerable. Which brings us to the final question. When this system cracks, what survives? Not the dollars, not the banks, not the illusions, but the same things that survived every collapse for 3,000 years. Here are the truths this entire history reveals. Takeaway number 1. Money is a tool, not wealth. Your true wealth is not paper, not digits, not bank balances. Your real wealth is what you know, what you can do, what you can trade, what you can grow, who trusts you, what resources you control. Money is only a symbol of value. When the symbol breaks, the value remains. Takeaway number 2, collapse is not an end, it is a reset. Every collapse is followed by new institutions, new currencies, new rules, new winners, new losers. The people who see the shift coming thrive. The ones who assume it can't happen here suffer most. Takeaway number 3, the future belongs to the adaptable. The ultimate currency is not gold or crypto or dollars. It is adaptability, the ability to shift from one money to another, one system to another, one skill to another, one opportunity to another. Rigid people break, flexible people survive. If history repeats, and it always does, then we are approaching another moment when trust will be tested. The question is not, will money fail? It always has. It always does. It always will. The real question is, what will rise when today's money falls? Will it be digital currencies, gold-backed systems, decentralized networks, parallel economies, or something entirely new? The collapse of old money does not destroy society. It reveals what society really values. And what survives is always the same: trust, skills, community, and real resources. Everything else is temporary.